Firstly, thank you all for taking time out of your lives and days to come and share with me this evening, to share with each other. I'm going to be very brief because I'm much more interested in hearing you guys talk than hearing myself talk. I can do that anytime I like. These are the objectives I have for this evening. I'm really trying to understand how CityPlan works for the people who were involved in it. I'll go on to explain what's happening in Sydney in a moment. So I'm interested in, especially in those of you who were involved, especially from the very beginning, but also in the later periods as well. So it's the stories about what happened, how you got involved, why you got involved, your history, personal history about how that came to be. Would you do it again? I think it's possibly quite an interesting question for some people. And also interested in attitudes, as in, did it change how you saw things, thought about things, and how did you evolve through the process yourselves, in addition to the actual planning stuff that occurred. And I'm also interested in built outcomes, so things that have actually happened, physically happened, that you see coming out of CityPlan, and I'm interested in the good ones, a little bit interested in the bad ones, but I'm very keen not to get sidetracked by the things that didn't work. Every process has a downside, and I'm very mindful that the downsides often take up more energy than the ups. So it's going to be difficult, I know, but I want to try and keep the conversation on sort of that more positive note and get us through those stories if we can. The why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have a deep personal interest in the future of cities. I live in one, and I probably will until I die, and hopefully that's a while away, so I care how they go, and that's my work as an architect. That's a big part of my daily life. I happen to have won a Bierra Hadley Travelling Scholarship, which is funded by the New South Wales Architects Registration Board, so that very kind of paid for my tickets, which was deeply appreciated. And the reason that they gave me money is that Sydney is currently reviewing their planning system. So Anne has been in Sydney 2 months ago, I think it was, explaining some of the things about CityPlan to our government because they're very interested. And I'm going to fly through in 3 slides extremely quickly what they're proposing, just so you get a sense of where they're coming from. They're proposing, so I should start, New South Wales is the state in which Sydney sits, and it's the state government that control all our planning rules. They propose this structure on the right where they'll have policies, regional growth plans, a sub-regional growth plan, and local plans. A regional growth plan is our metropolitan strategy for Sydney. So those 3 in the right-hand corner will be the things that apply to the metropolitan area of Sydney. And they will work something like this, that there'll be this line of sight, is the phrase that they're using. So each plan will have to look up to the one above it in similar ways to how I understand your system works, so that if the big plan is about so many jobs, then all the other plans need to make sure that they're going to help that be achieved. You'll also notice on the right-hand side that there's community and stakeholder engagement at every level of this plan. And this is the part why our government is very interested in CityPlan, because it appears to have been pretty successful in many ways, and we're not really sure how to do all of this at this scale, because we've never done it before, and therefore we're keen to learn. And the other element of the plan is how they will eventually assess applications for building projects. So there's a 5-tier system, and the key thing is that the top 3 on that list will, in 5 years' time, should compose 80% of all developments. And it basically means that if you comply with the code, so that will cover heights and setbacks and overshadowing and all those relatively standard things you find in codes. If you comply with all of those, you'll be compared against basically the checklist. Your project does that. Within 25 days, you get your approval. There's no consultation with the public at that stage because it was approved in the plan. Therefore, it's compliant. Therefore, it's okay, and off you go. And there's some concern in Sydney about that process as well. And you can see why. There's a lot of distrust of the government, as I think every city has. So that's the context of Sydney. That's why we're interested in what's been happening here in Vancouver, especially with CityPlan and the good work that came out of that. On that note, I'm going to hand over to Anne, who's going to talk for a little while about CityPlan.